Good evening and welcome to the February 11th meeting of the Lowell License Commission. Secretary, when was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Number one on the agenda, please.
First item is the minutes of the meeting from January 28th, 2016.
Commissioner Krieger.
I had two typos which I discussed with Ryan on page 2, line 6. The last word should be on instead of in. Page 3, before we vote to adjourn, there's 2 words there on the line, and it should be one or the other. With those exceptions, I move we approve the minutes.
Motion by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Hogan with the amended changes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, please.
Commission will now take up the matter to do with applications for special one-day licenses to sell, dispense malt beverages and wines only, or either one, filed by Mike Lindsay of the Lindsay Catering for events at Lucy Locken Park and Arcan Drive, the Winterfest 2016. 2 separate dates, Fridays, February 19th, 2016, from 12 noon to 11 p.m., and also for Saturday, February 20th, 2016, from 12 noon to 11 p.m.
You state your name for the record, sir.
Michael Lindsay.
Good evening, Mr. Lindsay. How are you tonight?
Good evening.
What are we doing at Lucy Locken Park?
We'll have several beer and wine stations. There'll be 4 tents set up over there if the City Winterfest Committee goes with Plan A. If there's another snowstorm or something, there's a Plan B to move everything to the JFK Plaza. So it would be either or. But this would be a license to sell beer and wine only at each of these sites underneath the tents.
So these tents are just going to be all along Lucy Locken, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Questions, comments from the board?
Second.
Move for approval by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Hogan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Lindsay, good luck with the event.
Don't hibernate, come celebrate.
Okay, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
Number 3 on our meeting agenda is public hearing on the application by Tuan Nugent, doing business as Sizzling Kitchen, for a malt beverages and wine only restaurant license for premises at 478 Merrimack Street. 1 unnumbered exit door, west side, first floor dining room, kitchen 800 square feet, a basement for storage 340 square feet. A legal notice was published Monday, February 1st, 2016 in the Lowell Sun newspaper. Abutters to be notified, and there is a church within 500 feet. Ms. Nugent had done everything according to statute by state law, and I have record of those notices for sent to the abutters as well as to the Hellenic Orthodox Church.
Thank you. State your name for the record, please.
Fong Tuan Nguyen.
How you doing tonight?
Good.
Good. Can you tell us about your business?
Basically, we're a restaurant that serves almost everything, from Asian to Italian and bakery also.
Mr. Wynn's going to help you out with the microphone there. There you go. All right. Speak up. I'm sorry.
We're a restaurant, and we try to serve everything from Asians to Italian to bakery. So,
Okay. Your prior experience in the business?
I don't. I only have management experience, but my husband is a chef, and he has 20 years being a chef experience.
What is your managerial experience?
I was a manager at a retail store for about 10 years.
Where?
Walgreens.
Oh, good. Okay. Secretary Wynn, everything in line here with the application?
I'm sorry, can you?
Is everything in line with the application?
Oh, yeah, very good. She's done excellent.
Okay, what I'm going to do now, we're going to open up the public hearing at this point. At this point, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. This time, we'd like to open up the public hearing. Anybody to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Questions, comments from the board?
Looks good.
Move approval.
Move approval.
Move for approval by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Hogan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ms. Nguyen, I want to wish you the best of luck. This board wishes success in your new business.
Thank you.
Okay.
Tuin, I just want to let you know, I have to send your application to the Boston, to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, so it'll take several weeks for them to approve it, and I'll let you know when it's been approved.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Number 4 on our meeting agenda, the License Commission Office has received an application filed by a corporation known as Gary's Tipico, Inc., doing business, Gary de los Santos, President, applying for an all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license for premises at 26 Andover Street. This being a one-story building, first and basements floors to be licensed. First floor is two rooms, including a kitchen. There is one entrance. There are 3 exits. That's 2,466 square feet. Also a basement, which is 1 room. There's 1 entrance, 2 exits, total of 2,340 square feet. There is access to an outdoor deck, which is approximately 1,432 square feet. For the board's ratification is a publication of the legal notice for the local newspaper, the Lowell Sun, Friday, February 12th, 2016, and to schedule a public hearing on this application for Thursday, February 25th, 2016, at 6:30 p.m. in the council chamber. It is required of the applicant to notify abutters and also any church, school, or hospital within 500 feet.
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 5 on the meeting agenda is an application filed by the Navigation Brewing Company, Inc., Robert A. Johnson, President, which is a farmer brewery licensee at 122 Western Avenue, Lowell, applying for a Farmers Series pouring permit for premises at 122 Western Avenue. For License Commission ratification is the publication of a legal notice in the Lowell Sun newspaper for Friday, February 12, 2016, for public hearing to be held on Thursday, February 25, 2016, at 6:30 p.m. in the council chamber, and abutters are to be notified by the applicant of the public hearing.
Motion by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Krieger.
Is there an issue about back taxes with regard to this issue? And does that need to be resolved? Should that be resolved before we publish a notice?
From what the information that was given to me since the initial information came about from the city treasurer's office, that Navigation Brewing Company had an outstanding personal property tax from its prior location, which would be at 45 Meadowcross Street. I was told by one of the principals involved with this company that that particular tax item is actually the responsibility of a prior tenant at 45 Meadowcroft Street and not Navigation Brewery or Brewing Company. So it is incumbent upon the individuals in Navigation Brewing Company to resolve the discrepancy, and to do so, they would need to go to the city assessor's office. And at this point in time, I do not know if that matter has been rectified to the satisfaction of the principals of Navigation Brewing Company, but in the period between now and the scheduled hearing date, presumably the scheduled hearing date, I would think that I'll follow up on that to make sure that he's got some
Okay.
positive feedback.
All right, I second the motion.
Second the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 6 on our meeting agenda is a hearing on the allegations of misconduct by William M. Taylor, the Superintendent of Police, dated January 8, 2016, regarding violations occurred on December the 27th, 2015, that are charged against Vanek Can, doing business as The Crown, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 74 Middlesex Street, to wit, A, failure to maintain order and decorum in the premises and in the immediately surrounding areas adjacent to the premises, which is a Regulation 1.16 of the Regulations of the Lowell License Commission. B, failure to notify the Lowell Police Department when any violation of law, disorder, or disturbance is taking place in the licensed premises in violation of Regulation 1.20 of the Regulations of the Lowell License Commission. C, failure to notify the Lowell License Commission of a police response to the licensed premises within 48 hours. Regulation 1.16 of the Regulations of the Lowell License Commission. And D, Alcohol Beverage Control Commission Regulation 204 CMR 2.05, Paragraph 2. No licensee for the sale of alcoholic beverages shall permit any disorder, disturbance, or illegality of any kind to take place in or on the licensed premises. The licensee shall be responsible therefore, whether present or not. I believe Commissioner McGovern has something to tell the board.
Commissioner McGovern?
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from the following two items.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, it appears that the licensee of record, Vanacan, doing business as the Crown, is not in the council chamber tonight.
Attorney Rossetti, can you give us a little background of what's transpired today with any communication with representation for Mr. Khan?
Yes, at the outset, let me start, Mr. Chairman, by stating that the matter on as number 6 on the agenda was previously continued at the request of Mr. Khan through his counsel, Attorney Weicker. It was indicated to the city that Attorney Weicker would not be able to represent the licensee at the hearing. The continuance was granted, and the matter was scheduled for this evening. A request was made today by Attorney Weicker on behalf of the licensee to further continue this. According to Attorney Weicker, there were unsuccessful efforts to obtain successor counsel, and that additional time was requested for the licensee to seek successor counsel to address this hearing. Attorney Weicker, in the alternative, proposed that the commission convene a special meeting on a date when Attorney Weicker could represent the licensee. Attorney Weicker had indicated a change in his practice status from full to part-time practice, as he is also attending school, and Thursday evenings when the commission normally meets, he is otherwise occupied with curriculum and studies.
Excuse me for a minute, Counselor. I did notice that Mr. Khan just has appeared in chambers. As this board can see right now, I think we should proceed with the item agenda number 6. Mr. Khan, approach your lectern, please. State your name for the record, sir.
Good evening. My name is Vanakan.
Mr. Khan, do you have any representation tonight?
I do not. I just learned that today that my new counsel has the conflicts, and I do wish to have the counsel to represent me. If I could request to continue to the next meeting, or perhaps a special meeting on either Wednesday or Friday, so I could have the legal counsel to represent me. Please.
Commissioner Krieger?
Yeah, these are very serious charges, and the police involvement has been extensive, so I'm very concerned about this. A delay for 2 weeks would be unacceptable to me, but I would propose that we defer this until a special meeting of Wednesday, the next Wednesday of the month, coming up. That would be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 February. So I would move that we defer this to 17 February to allow Mr. Khan to have counsel, which would avoid us finding ourselves in further difficulties as we did with Mr. Kevin Hayhurst.
Thank you.
Mr. Attorney Rossetti, any comments to Commissioner Krieger's statements?
The commission certainly has the discretion to do that, being mindful as well as what the commissioner said regarding the seriousness of the allegations. One thing the commission should also consider is that there has already been a continuance matter. And, you know, it is within the commission's purview to do, to convene a special meeting. I don't recall offhand when that has been done in the past. Perhaps Secretary Wynn would have some insight on, as to whether there's ever been a special meeting convened to address a disciplinary hearing under the circumstances similar to what we have at present tonight.
Not that I can recall of this nature. Certainly, the License Commission has scheduled special meetings, but not under the circumstances of a need for, because of a request for continuance. This would be an unusual action on the part of the licensing board to take such action if they choose to. The other question is arrangements to be made for availability of the council chamber. Wednesday evenings is a night when I believe the
School
committee schedules meetings. I'm not sure if it's every Wednesday night or every other Wednesday night. So
The next
there is-
scheduled meeting is next Wednesday.
I'm sorry?
Their next scheduled meeting is next Wednesday, the school.
So that would be the 17th.
I don't think that the venue is as important as the meeting. We have met in the mayor's reception room, for instance. I'd be happy to meet in the library conference room down in the basement. This needs to be addressed, it needs to be addressed soon, and we need to make sure that Mr. Khan has counsel, so there is not a basis for going to court to reverse this because he was not represented.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCarthy?
Mr. Khan, did you say you have a new attorney?
Well, because my current attorney, he's tied up on Thursday, every Thursday, because he go back to school. And so I supposed to have a new counsel to represent me tonight. But after the meeting today, we have learned that she had a conflict, so she had to call off.
So you do have new counsel?
I thought I did, but because of the conflict that she has, so she couldn't make it.
Attorney Rossetti, I want to go back to what Commissioner Krieger stated, and I want to make sure that we're not into any illegal or putting ourselves in a little hot water here. If we proceeded with this complaint without him having, Mr. Khan having legal representation, are we in any hot water at all at this point?
Well, it's really difficult to prognosticate or predict with any degree of certainty how a tribunal, the ABCC, or beyond that, a superior court, should there be a review of an ABCC decision, would rule on the propriety of the commission's action with respect to the continuance request. It's been represented by Attorney Weicker that were the commission to convene the hearing on a Wednesday, then he would be available to represent the licensee at a Wednesday hearing. And that was made part of his continuance
My
request.
concern here is that we've had one continuance for the same concern, that he did not have legal representation 2 weeks ago. So now we're looking at another he's asking for another continuance, which in fact would be 6 weeks. Because Mr. Khan, cannot find or secure legal representation. So I'm not sure how the ABCC or any court would go against us in this. I think we've given him ample time to find representation. And not to mention, getting a phone call on the day of saying he's looking for another continuation, kind of slap in the face to the Lowell License Commission, in my opinion.
Well,
I just want to make sure that if we did proceed with this, that we're not doing anything illegal.
No, the commission certainly has the discretion to move forward tonight. The commission has the discretion to grant a continuance. I think a key fact is, just as you stated, Mr. Chairman, there's already been one request for a continuance to seek alternative or successor legal counsel. That time has passed. The continuance was granted, and we're here this evening based on the continuance. Certainly another key fact is that the operative events occurred almost 2 months ago. These go back to the end of December, before the end of the last calendar year. Certainly, it's very much in the commission's interest to address these allegations very promptly.
I'm only one voice, and I do appreciate my fellow commissioners' thoughts on this, that Mr. Khan should have legal representation. It's such a severe matter that we're going to discuss. So if Commissioner Krieger wants to make a motion and finds a second, then so be it. And I wouldn't exclude Commissioner from making that a motion. So I just want to make sure that if we did go forward and Commissioner Krieger's doesn't get a second, that if we proceed, then everything's on the up and up. I just don't want this getting thrown back at us, like Commissioner Krieger stated previously on another complaint that we had in another establishment in the city. So it's fair to say we're fine, I guess.
The commission is authorized to pursue either course of action.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Krieger?
I move that we have a continuance until Wednesday, I believe the 17th of February, at which time, if there is not legal representation, we will proceed with this hearing.
Is there a second on the floor? Hearing no second, let's proceed with the complaint. Mr. Can, will you be representing yourself, obviously, at this point? You'll be representing yourself at this point.
Well, actually, again, I want to have the legal counsel to represent me. As far for now,
Unfortunately, this board is going to proceed with the complaint without you securing legal representation for the fact that your previous lawyer had asked for a continuance, which we granted him, and now he's looking for another continuance, and due to the severity of the complaints, this board feels that we should proceed at this time. So I want you to understand that you are representing yourself at this point for this complaint.
yes, but I've been working, we've been busy, and today I had the opportunity to meet the new counsel. It just, in the last minute, we have learned that she had a conflict. I thought we moved forward, but again, unfortunately, and that's why I just wish, just for the record, I really do want to have the legal counsel to represent me.
I do empathize with your situation, Mr. Khan. I absolutely do. But this board has voted to proceed. So I'm alerting you to the fact that you're representing yourself at this time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like the complaint read into the record?
Yes.
Captain Webb.
Mr. Chairman, on December 27th of 2015, approximately 1:37 a.m., Officer Damaris and Officer Bugler were on duty outside of the Crown nightclub. They were notified of a fight inside the nightclub by a female patron who was exiting the club. The officers entered the club, and after they entered, they were directed to the rear of the club where they found a large crowd fighting. And additional officers had to be called to the scene by the end of this incident to help quell the disturbance once and for all. While the officers were breaking up the fight, They found a 31-year-old male who was one of the main participants in the fight. Officer Damaris attempted to escort him outside. He found the 31-year-old to be belligerent and uncooperative, and Officer Damaris also observed that the man smelled of an alcoholic beverage, and due to his continued belligerent behavior, he was placed under arrest outside. Also, when he was booked at the police station, booking personnel noted that he was intoxicated. Sergeant Prescott was the on-scene supervisor that night. Sergeant Prescott noted that the police department had not been notified by management of the Crown nightclub about the fight, and they had not learned of the fight until a patron who was exiting informed the officers outside that there was a fight inside. Sergeant Prescott also described the patrons that he saw exiting the club as intoxicated, combative, unruly, rowdy, noisy, and loud. While the officers were tied up at this disturbance at the nightclub, the state police and the UMass Lowell Police Department had to be called into the city to help with other calls in the downtown area because no Lowell police officers were available as they were all tied up at the Crown. Also, while this disturbance was being dispersed, gunshots were heard on Jackson Street on the other side of the parking garage, and officers investigating that incident found several people who they know to be associated with the Crown nightclub being involved in the gunshot incident also. The officers also spoke to several neighbors at the time who voiced concern over a continuing pattern of fights and gunshots at dismissal time or closing time at the Crown nightclub. Officer Damaris, Sergeant Prescott, and Detective Erickson, who investigated the incident further, are all here tonight. And if the commission wishes, Detective Erickson has a video of the fight inside the nightclub that night that we could attempt to show you.
Who took the video, Captain?
I believe Detective Erickson could tell you that there is some video from the Crown's own system.
Yep.
And another video that is from a unknown person's cell phone that was provided to Detective Erickson by, I believe, an assistant manager at the Crown nightclub.
Detective Erickson, can you approach your lectern, please? You could state your name for the record, sir.
Detective Corey Erickson, Lowell Police Department.
Detective, tell us what we're going to see here.
There's three videos of the interior of the Crown nightclub that was provided to me by a co-manager. There's stationary cameras that capture the incident, the altercation inside the nightclub, and I was also provided with a cell phone footage taken by a patron from inside that captures it. The three interior cameras, kind of medium quality, black and white. The Crown surveillance system is, I'd say it's medium to poor. You can still tell unique characteristics of what's occurring on tape and who those parties are. The cell phone footage is clear, it's sharp, it's in color as well.
Attorney Rossetti, anything that we shouldn't, is this a cell phone video? Is this something that this board could take a look at, or?
Well, it was provided by the Crown, so from that perspective, I think where the Crown has furnished this,
Yep.
I think the Crown would be hard-pressed to complain about it being furnished. It's my understanding that Captain Webb has copies of...
I'm not concerned about the Crown's video, I'm concerned about the cell phone video that was given by a patron. Are we allowed to use that as evidence?
The commission can choose to accept it or not accept it into evidence. They can accept a portion, or none of the video that's offered. Certainly, I think there can be, with respect to the video system itself at the Crown, there can be no question about that.
All right, thank you. You want to push play, or?
Sure.
All right. you know the password? Terry, can you see it?
Yes. No, this is fine. Great.
Started between an argument of people that encompassed the VIP section, which is these two tables here.
Detective, speak into the microphone.
Okay. The VIP section of the club is located over here. These are tables that are secured with bottle service. I was told that these parties were traveling in from Essex County, Lawrence area, and frequenting the club. Punches are thrown, and the fight spills into the VIP area. You can see that there's a person here that's been identified in the initial police reports as assaulted by multiple males from the VIP area. He's struck with plastic bottles of juices or waters, I was told. And other fights begin. There's approximately 10 to 15 people that are fighting on this frame. There's some other skirmishes that occur as well. This is their video. This is my iPad recording their video system. So the quality is deteriorated a little bit in the transfer from my iPad to theirs, but like I said, theirs is medium to
It's obvious
medium to low.
fighting is going on, though.
So it was at this point that the bouncers became engaged and began to attempt to separate the parties. It wasn't going well.
Where are the bouncers, Detective?
They're in the crowd. There's two bouncers, or a manager and a bouncer that are actively engaged in attempting to separate the parties, but there's just too many people fighting at this point for them to effectively control the crowd, as you can see. There's a fight occurring over here in the corner. The fight continues. This is just a portion of this is a single fixed camera on the back wall of the nightclub. I'm just going to let it play out. There's other camera angles as well. There's three cameras on the interior of the crown. This is Officer Damaris and Bugler who move in, and they're attempting to move one of the parties out. the main aggressors of the altercation, as described by the managers and the bouncers at the club, were removed out the back door. And this party's associated with this other person, who was essentially attacked, are moved out the front door. So the fight's pretty much over at this point.
At least everything inside was done after this.
So as it was explained to me, was the culmination and completion of the fight inside. At that point, Officer Damaris was outside, effecting an arrest of an individual that was extricated from the club, and a series of fights. My post-investigation discovered that there was a series of fights that occurred outside as well.
And this was,
This is another end.
gender fight?
There was some
Looked that
females
way.
that involved themselves and became active in the altercation. This is a camera that's located towards the front of the club. Most of the footage on this is just patrons watching the fight, filming the fight with cell phones, and also the officers, the patrol officers that had to move through this crowd. These are just onlookers that the officers had to make their way to get towards the rear of the club where the real altercation was happening.
It would be around this corner, right?
So if you remember from the first clip, the first video clip, it was over by the bar area where the fight initiated. So this would be on the opposite side of the fight. The parties that were involved in this altercation were known to the managers of the Crown nightclub. They were identified by name. There are people that had been coming in and securing or calling ahead and reserving these VIP areas, and coming in with approximately 10 to 12 people, and getting bottle service and just partying in that VIP section of the club. What essentially occurred is that they engaged a group of individuals from this area, from Lowell, and an altercation ensued, and
Am I to assume that,
carried over
am I
outside.
to assume, Detective, that clock is 1
The
hour?
the timestamp is off,
By 1
an
hour?
hour and 7 minutes,
Hour and 7.
as described by the manager. It's also authenticated with the radio calls and Officer Damaris's extensive report. Some of these parties that are being removed by other patrons as well, just friends trying to get their friends away from it. Those are the officers entering the club.
Where?
They just walk quickly on the top frame.
Yeah.
They walk quickly to the rear of the nightclub. You'll see them exit with one of the parties involved. And as they're removing him, he attempts to re-engage and keep the fight going. These are officers. This is Officer Damaris attempting to remove one of the individuals. So they move him towards the front of the club, outside, where they're awaiting the wagon. This is just some footage of the front door, and I recovered it because it would show the exit of Officer Damaris and the person who was ultimately arrested. And it was also an investigative effort to attempt to identify some of the people that were involved in the altercation. As I explained in watching the video, myself, Officer Damaris, the patrol officers who are familiar with the people who frequent the nightclub, and some of the supervisors that are down there regularly, we watch this footage to make comparison and attempt to identify some of these people, because honestly, they're just not from around here, and they're not people that we will all the time see. Another reason that I had recovered this video angle was because there were 5 other video clips that were recovered in the course of the investigation that took approximately a week and a half. On the exterior, I recovered video from the early parking garage, the city-owned garage, private condo on Jackson Street. There were residents at 109 Jackson Street that had identified themselves to police officers who had taken video footage with their own cell phones.
Are these patrons going back into the club?
Some of them are entering. There are patrons that are still coming into the club. Some are leaving, but there isn't a general concern to leave despite the 20-man fight, 20 male and female fight that's occurring in the back of the club. So this footage will just continue and show Officer Damaris and Officer Bugler removing the individual who was ultimately arrested. This would be footage that I'm going to show. It's going to take me a minute to rotate footage. It's a small capture of what occurred that night. 2 officers entered the bar to break up that fight alone. A number of other patrol officers, the state police and UMass Lowell police officers were responsible for responding to a number of other fights, disorderly patrons, people in the street, altercations, and within moments, 4 shots fired that were 4 gunshots that were discharged approximately 50 to 75 yards away from the Crown. The people that were involved in the shooting, in the fights outside, in the altercations that occurred in the area were positively identified from the video on the Crown nightclub. The people that you see on there were actively engaged in the shooting investigation that I conducted.
So you're saying that the shooter
The shooter's
was
on
was
the
a
tape.
patron
I
at the
applied
Crown.
for, the shooter's on the tape, and I applied for warrants charging some of the individuals on that tape for the altercation, and the investigation continues.
Captain Webb, or if not, Detective Erickson, at any time was the Lowell Police Department called?
No, the Lowell Police Department was not called. The only notification we had was from the female patron who informed Officer Damaris and Officer Bugler while they were standing out front that there was a fight going on inside. And I would also like to note that Crown Management did not notify the License Commission within 48 hours of a police response to the establishment that night either.
Secretary Wynn, if I'm not mistaken, if I recollect correctly, was the Crown Plaza brought here on a complaint on that they did not get in touch with us after 48 hours as well on a prior complaint?
Right, and that is an action of, that's being, a decision of the licensing board is being appealed to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, I believe.
Right.
And so that is, as far as.
April, right?
I would assume
I believe it's in being,
Ken
ABC's
would
hearing in
probably,
April.
might
Right.
want to
Okay.
hold back on that one. I'm not
Officer
sure.
Damaris. I'm sorry. Thank you, Detective.
Good evening.
State your name for the record, sir.
Daniel Damaris, Lowell Police Department.
Officer, you were notified by a patron to get in there. There's a fight
Correct.
happening at that. That's how you were notified, right?
That's correct.
You and Officer Bugler went at the same time?
Yes.
And at that time, what I saw was you were just trying to break up the first fight you saw. Is that correct, or?
Yeah, once we, what actually happened is we were outside. We get there around 1:30. Myself and Officer Bugler were actually walking across and engaging some of the people that were hanging around outside and walking to their cars, some of the people that were leaving early, just to kind of get a gauge on the environment, the attitudes from people coming out. It's a good way to interact with them, just to see what's going on. While we were out front, engaging some of the patrons in conversation, the front door was open, and I observed a female bouncer who was standing in the doorway. While we were standing outside, a patron exited the club and walked towards me, almost as she was just going to walk by me, and she said, "Hey, you guys better get in, there's a big fight breaking out," very nonchalantly. So just hearing that, we walked to the door, and as we were approaching the door, the female bouncer who was at the door just started waving towards the back. When we went into the actual nightclub, that's when we saw the scene that clearly was chaotic.
How many patrons do you estimate being there at that time?
The club could give you a better count. I couldn't tell. I could see at least 100 packed into the rear VIP area with anywhere from 10 to 15 people fighting at any one time. Total people in the establishment was probably double that. I'm estimating well over 200.
So when you entered with Officer Bugler, you saw one female bouncer at the door?
Yes.
No more? That was it?
That was what I saw initially when I came up. There could have been more. I was going to go past her regardless because I got the information of the fight. But as I was approaching her, that's when she waved, pointing towards the back. But it wasn't until I was making my way into the club that that notification was made. And then we proceeded into the club to try to break up the fight in the back.
Any other commissioners have any questions for Officer Damaris? Commissioner Kariga?
Yes, sir. You arrested Mr. Garcia. Were there other people that if you'd had additional manpower that you might have tried to arrest? What I'm asking is it more than just Mr. Garcia causing this problem, although he seems to be at the center of it?
Right. After our approach, our entrance into the bar to see the fight, I mean, hindsight is 20/20. If we had saw the video, obviously there would have been numerous people that would have been arrested, some on felony charges. The problem is when we're entering, the lights are on, people are starting to yell at the police are there. A lot of the people are starting to calm down. And by my estimation, that fight went on for well over a minute before we were notified. And that was a long minute, as you could see. So by the time we got in, a lot of the patrons were starting to disperse, but Mr. Garcia, who was, at the time, I observed him, a victim of several assaults by different people. I tried to escort him out of the club as he was one of the main targets, and he was instigating as he was being let out, and that led to his subsequent arrest.
Anything further to add? I'm sorry, Commissioner.
No, it's
Commissioner.
just one question. How many Lowell police officers had to back you up at the Crown that night? How many did you have on site?
I'd have to defer to the sergeant to the staffing, but my understanding was every Lowell police officer that was available that night was called to that location if they weren't tied up on another call.
So, just give me an estimate. Are we talking 10 police officers?
Sergeant Prescott, approach the lectern, please. Just state your name for the record, sir.
Sergeant Mike Prescott. I would say at least 10 units responded to the Crown,
10
breaking
units?
up the fights, the people exiting the club on the street and inside the garage. And then shortly after that, we heard the gunshots and people started scattering everywhere.
When I think of 10 units, that's
Yes.
that whole side of the city.
Yes, that's the problem. The CO that night notified me stating that the UMass Lowell was covering certain sections of the city, and also the state police were covering the rest of the city. Why every unit in the city was covering the Crown and the incident at the Crown that evening.
Do you have anything else to add, Sergeant?
No, just it's a quality of life issue also with the residents on Jackson Street, Middlesex Street, dealing with this tumultuous behavior by the patrons exiting the Crown on Saturday nights. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Do we have anything further for Officer Damaris, Commissioners? Thank you, Officer. Mr. Khan. How many security personnel were on that night?
We have 10 bouncers. That night happened so quick, because we almost closed, so we prepared to clean up. And then, so when the fight broke out, we all rushed in just to separate. Myself was in the video as well. So we didn't have time to call the police. And we also request, if the detail would show up, things would be differently. The sooner they saw the police came in, the fight just kind of calmed down. So, we've been requested since we opened. Again, we've been open for 3 years. The past 2.5 years, we already have details. There's no incident happened inside. And the last 5 to 6 months, we never received detail. And I've been calling every single weekend. And if we would recall, back in 2013, Counselor Ed Kennedy said that if the establishment or eating or drinking establishment requests detail, they should get one. And
Mr.
we
Khan,
didn't, yeah.
excuse me for interrupting, but I'm confused what difference a detail would have made that evening from having 200 plus patrons still in your facility at 10 minutes of 2.
I believe it would help a lot. The sooner they see the police present there.
How is it, though, that before 10 minutes of 2, which is closing time when the building is supposed to be completely empty, you hadn't even started to remove patrons?
Ma'am, when you look at the time, it's supposed to be an hour late.
Right.
So the last call will be 1:30, the lights on.
Right.
Okay? And then there's no more serving.
And if I'm...
And then 1:45, the music will be end.
Right, but if I'm not mistaken, Detective, was the time of the incident not at about 1:50?
The DJ always announced at 1:30, the lights flash on. We always follow by the book.
But the music was still clearly blasting during that incident until the police showed up.
Again, every single night. If you were to go tomorrow, this weekend, or we always turn the light. I have my staffs here. He the one who responsible to make sure the light is on, the DJ announced at the last call.
Right, and the music just continues?
I'm sorry?
The music just continues? We don't shut the music off?
Right, when the last call, the music will be end at 1:45. The lights are completely on, the music is totally off at 1:45.
So this is a fluke then on this video, that it was still going?
That
Does it usually happen?
Right, but I don't know, but normally I always notice because I'm at the DJ booth, he signal the clock, the DJ will announce, and then he gonna tell them last song at 1:45 is gonna be end.
I know when the fight began, he was telling the people who were fighting to relax, stop it. I heard him say it, and the music was still playing.
Because, again, the music off will be 1:45, the
Okay.
last song.
I'm okay with that. Can you answer me the question why this Secretary Wynn did not hear from you after the 48 hours?
Well, this is what, I thought the City of Lowell Police is an agent to License Commission. That's why we report to the police within the same day on Sunday. And I
Mr.
didn't.
Khan, you were in front of this board not so long ago on the same complaint that you didn't alert the Lowell License Commission that an incident transpired in your establishment. And I remember you saying it would never happen again, that you understood what your responsibilities were, that you were supposed to report after 48 hours to this board, to Secretary Wynn, that something happened.
Again, I admit that, but I thought, because we reported to City Police of Lowell,
Yep.
and we hoping that because the City Police of Lowell is the license agent, and I thought they would have notified the License Commission. That's what my understanding, but, again, I didn't know. This is,
Commissioner Krieger.
Yeah, I think that this commission has made it plain in the past that telling the police is not sufficient, that no policeman can say, it's okay, you don't have to report. You have to report to us. We have said this in the past, and I think that the owners need to talk amongst themselves and inform each other, because this is a serious violation, and it's upsetting to me that nobody is getting the word that they're hiding behind, well, the police knew. Not good enough.
I find it ironic that you would need a police detail every weekend to maintain the peace. So you're basically saying, unless the Lowell police are here, something's going to happen. I find that troublesome.
that's not what I'm saying or my thought.
You just said it, though.
Well, I just wish, to have some police to be present there.
Yeah?
Would help a lot.
I do understand that, but I'm getting the impression that there's probably not enough security in your establishment. And listen, I was a bar owner myself. Fights happen. I get it. And it's not your fault. But how intoxicated were those patrons? There was any over-serving happening that night? I wasn't there. I don't know. And Mr. Khan, I understand. Fights do happen in bars and in nightclubs, and it happens. I get it. But I'm still having a difficult time understanding why protocol wasn't maintained that night. First, a call wasn't made to the Lowell Police Department. A patron had to come inside, had to go outside and grab Officer Damaris and say, listen, you better get in there. There's a fight going on. And then you don't even report to the Lowell License Commission that something happened. When you were here 6 months ago saying, yeah, I get it, I understand that. I have a problem with that. I don't have I tell you the truth, as serious that video was, that doesn't trouble me as much as the other two complaints where you didn't let us know and you didn't call the police. Like I said, it happens, and that was pretty graphic. I understand, but fights happen, especially you put 200 people. Who knows? You know what? You're up hours of operation. I'm still not understanding, because if you're opening basically around 11:30, I'll bet you 70% of your patrons walking in the door have been to another establishment drinking. I'll guarantee it.
Yes, sir.
So you're looking for, talking about a recipe for disaster. So you open up at 11, and you close at, last call at 1:30. Oh, if I'm going somewhere for 2.5 hours, I'm going to make sure I'm tanked pretty good.
So we want to open early, but we always open the door at 9 o'clock, but no one show up until 11:30. Okay, we've been advertising, we did all what we could. The fight that night was caught us by surprise because almost time to close. We start to clean up. So when we heard that, we all rushed in, just to make sure that we can stop the fight. That's why some of our bouncers you see on the video took one of the guys out through the back door, tried to separate.
Mr. Khan, I believe you're trying to do the best you can. I truly
Yes,
believe
sir.
that. And in my tenure in this board, what I've found in some of the bars that have had a troubled past, it always seems like it's patrons, not from the city of Lowell, but patrons from other cities and towns surrounding the city of Lowell that bring in some of the problems here. And I think we witnessed it that night. And if I'm correct, what Detective Erickson said, it looked like there was a party from another city, about 15 people that came in here that night and started a fight.
Those gentlemen actually, it was the first time, was our regular customer, and we know we banned them from the club.
You had banned them from the club?
Yes, sir. We know them. The one with the T-shirt that their group, that the guy that.
Why would you let them in if you banned them?
No, we decide to ban them. We're not going to let them to come in again anymore. After that fight.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a bunch of guys from, another city or town going, hey, let's go to Lowell, let's cause some havoc, and you know what, we're out of here.
that's
That's where it seems to be the problem here.
right. That's why right now we try to push with the dress code, and we install more security cameras so we can recognize faces, so we can stop them from coming again. I just bought a new system just to make sure that we have enough civilian camera in the building, so we know.
Mr. Khan, you said you had 10 security officers on?
Bouncer, yes, sir.
Are they trained to know enough to call the police department when an incident like this breaks out?
They are, and they also
The manager?
also the crowd manager as well. And but again, that night it just happened so quick. We all had to rush it in to break the fight, and that was our concern. If we don't try to stop the fight, now it's going to be disorder within the club.
If I could just go on what Commissioner McCarthy just said, do you have a plan in place that if there is an altercation, that one security guard is the person who makes that phone call to the Lowell Police Department?
Yeah, we
You do?
Yeah.
Why didn't that happen?
Again, it was by surprise. Mostly me and my wife, me and my manager. But we just caught in that surprise that we had to jump in. Again,
Captain
in
Webb,
that video, you saw me in the middle of that, just try to stop.
I understand.
Yeah.
Captain Webb, you have anything else to add?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any of the officers or detectives, anything else further from you, gentlemen? Thank you. Mr. Khan, you have anything further to add to this discussion?
No, just all I'm asking is I'm trying to reach out. I'm trying to do what I could, I'm reaching out, please help me so I, can make it better. And my request is hoping to get a detail, at least just to present there from time to time, not like never show up.
I understand, but when you took over this business, I don't think Lowell Police Department was in your business plan, as having a detail every weekend. You're dealing with a clientele, a young clientele, that unfortunately, with the hours that you're in operation, you know what, like I just said, I hate to say it again, but it's a recipe for disaster. And once again, you know what, as graphic as that was, I still have no problem with it. I really don't. fights happen in bars. They do. And you know what? If you had 200 people and you had 10 security, I would say, you know what, you're pretty close. I'd say that's what you should have on. But you have a decision to make on what your clientele is looking like. And right now, it ain't looking too good.
Right now, I plan to have for male 25 and up, female 21 plus, and we strictly on the dress codes.
All right.
That we're going to increase more security to the premises. And plus the security camera that I put it in, brand new system that we're going to have, it's about 18 camera within the premises itself.
Commissioners, anything else for the Tad?
Mr. Khan, you said that it's only recently there's been this increase in incidents, but the chart we got from the Lowell Police Department Intelligence Division shows that in 2013, the numbers had gone up, I don't know, 75%. They went up again in 2014, and they went up again in 2015 for calls in the vicinity of 70 Middlesex. So this seems to have been, total calls seems to have gone up rather dramatically since you opened, and what they call priority one calls, not so much in 2013, but noticeably going up 2014 and 2015. So the information, the statistics were being provided suggests that this has been a deteriorating problem since 2013.
Well, sir, it's a 2-block radius, and we have many bars in there. And if you're looking into our record, we only open pretty much just every Saturday that we have crowd. So we're talking about 52 days per week. So when the call actually jumped to 300, which is, if one every single day, that's 365, that's per year. So it must be the same incident that 5 or 10 or 20 calls just go to one incident. Every single Saturday, that's when we have a club. Friday, we pretty much close early because there's no crowd. So pretty much we open 52 nights per year. So the call that on that intelligence report that increased by 300 calls, that's almost one every single day, which is almost, it's not real.
All right. I think I want to stay on case in point here. If you have nothing, Mr. Khan, I'd like to just go over the violations here. And any of the commissioners like to chime in, that's so be it. On violation number 1, failure to maintain order and decorum in the premises. Personally, like I told you, I think it's difficult to stop fights. I really do. And maybe it's just from myself being a bar owner myself. You do the best you can. I think you had enough security. You know what? They do happen. Be mindful, like I just said, I think you have I think you have to sit down with your wife and seriously think about what your business is going to look like. I think you're attracting the wrong clientele. I really do. Especially when I hear Detective Erickson saying, you're hearing, shots fired at the garage, and one of them was your patron. That's serious stuff, Personally, I think you need to relook this whole thing over. I would not hold you for failure to maintain order. I just think it's almost an impossible task at times.
Yeah, it's going to change.
All right. Failure to notify the Lowell Police, number 2, when any violation of law, disorder, or disturbance is taking place in the licensed premises. I think you're guilty of that. Third one is failure to notify the Lowell License Commission of a police response to the licensed premises within 48 hours. I believe you're guilty of that as well. Number 4, ABCC Regulation 204 CMR, no licensee for the sale of alcoholic beverages shall permit any disorder, disturbance, illegality of any kind to take place in or on a licensed premises. I think that goes with number 1 at that point. I would not hold you guilty on that. But number 2 and 3, I would. especially being in front of this board the second time on the same complaint, same violation, that's, you know, and saying that you really don't understand when I know this board was reemphasized to you the importance of notifying the Lowell Police Department and notifying the Lowell License Commission. To me, it's irresponsible. Secretary Wynn, and anything else from any commissioner like to chime in?
No, I mean, that's the gist of the,
All right. How many days do we have in abeyance at this point?
well, again, the matter of the decision that was rendered last year that's being appealed to the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission.
Right.
Appeal hearing is scheduled before the ABC on April the 20th. All of which, well, let me just, I'll give you
While Mr. Nguyen is gathering his records, I think April 20th is a day late and a dollar short. We need to proceed as though that's not happening and take this as its own thing.
I may add a little bit. The reason why we appeal, because the girl that passed out outside the club was not from the overserve, was the mix with the medication that she took, lithium plus the alcohol that she took from home. And so she passed out was because of dehydrate. And then, you know, she actually posted on the Facebook as well.
Okay, so that matter is going to be brought before the ABCC. So I understand that. This would be a different matter. And
Right. The way to think about this, Mr. Chairman, is that, as Commissioner Krieger said, you consider this as its own matter. You should not look at the sanction that the board imposed for the prior violation as a set sanction, if you will, if you're looking at some form of progressive discipline. That matter is separate and is to be appealed at a hearing before the ABCC on the 20th of April.
in the matter that's going in front of the ABC on April 20th has 2 days of suspension, correct, Secretary Nguyen?
Well, if I can read it, I'll read it for you
Sure,
if you like.
please.
Just for
Go
the
right
sake
ahead.
of, for the record. What the commission had voted to do was that they held this meeting, a hearing was on December the 17th, 2015. And it was voted to suspend the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license for 2 days. The first day of suspension to be served on Friday, January 15th, 2016. The second day of suspension to be served on Friday, January 22nd, 2016. Furthermore, the 2 days to be served are 2 of the 3 days suspension held in abeyance in the decision of the License Commission on May 7, 2015. The third day will remain in abeyance until May 7, 2016. The Lowell License Commission also voted to suspend the all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license for 3 days to be held in abeyance until December 31st, 2016. So the aspects to the vote, whereas the fact that it was on this particular vote, on December the 17th, was a violation of Chapter 138, Section 69, which is delivering alcohol beverages to an intoxicated person on October the 25th, 2015. Whereas other matters that were alleged violations, the commission voted to place on file, and that is the allegation that there was a failure to maintain order and decorum in the premises, a failure to notify the Lowell License Commission and the Lowell Police Department of a police response within 48 hours. And last but not least is the ABC Regulation 204 CMR 205, which pertains to the no licensee for the alcohol beverages shall permit any disorder. So those were placed on file. That was the rendering decision of the board of an incident that occurred on October the 25th. That decision is being appealed by Bannacan, and a hearing has been scheduled before the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission for April the 20th, 2016. So it's best, I think, concurring with the Assistant City Solicitor, Ken Rossetti, I would just suggest that the board not consider this as a part of their decision on any action.
Understand. I would make a motion to suspend the license for 2 days. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hogan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Dakota,
Yes?
Commissioner Hogan,
Yes.
Commissioner Krieger,
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
No?
He said yes.
Oh, yes, he said, okay, thank you. And Commissioner McCarthy?
No.
No, okay. So there are 3 yeses for a 2-day suspension, 1 no.
Can I ask for reconsideration to ask Commissioner McCarthy if he's looking for a little bit more? Because frankly, I would have gone with 5 days, 3 to be served, 2 suspended.
Commissioner McCarthy.
You're right, Commissioner Krieger. I think we need to do more than 2 days. This is happening too often over there. We tied up all our police resources that evening. We had to have outside police come in to help us out. I would go along with the 5 days if you make that motion.
State it once again, Commissioner Krieger.
That we review our previous vote and replace it with a suspension of 5 days, 3 to be served, 2 to be held in abeyance.
I have a second by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes. Secretary Wynn, we have 3 days. Would you be able to get notice out for suspension to start February 26th, 27th, March 4th?
Well, since, let me just get my
It would
bearings here.
be 15 days from today.
Certainly a decision of that could be available the end of next week, allowing for the 5 days in which the licensee has the right to appeal the decision
Understood.
upon receipt of the notice. Probably best to have the days of suspensions commence first week in March.
I don't want to wait 3 weeks.
Okay.
I really don't.
No. I agree with you, Mr. Chairman.
I agree. Is there any problem with the President's Day holiday? Is that an impediment here that we're
We have to give,
having to deal with?
you have to give notice,
Right.
and you have to give at least 7 days' notice. That's why I'm asking you, why can't we do the 26th, which is 15 days from now?
So you want the day of suspension, first day of suspension start Friday, the 26th of February?
Yeah. That'll give
Sure.
me ample time to get it out, and he still, and he can
Yeah.
appeal, and he can appeal it.
If
So we're
that's
gonna
what
go
you
with-
wish, yeah, Friday,
Is that, all the commissioners okay with the February 26th, 27th, and the following Friday, the 4th?
Yes.
okay, so you want Friday, February 26th, Saturday, February 27th, and Friday, March 4th
Correct.
to be served?
Correct.
Okay. And the 2 days to be held in abeyance for how long?
Commissioner Krieger?
To be held in abeyance until 1 March of 2017.
Thank you.
March 1st of 2017?
Exactly.
Agenda item number 7, please.
Commission now proceed with a public hearing, an open public hearing, to consider the public need in accordance with Section 12 of Chapter 138 of the General Laws of Massachusetts to decrease the hours from 2 a.m. to 11 p.m. for the sales of alcoholic beverages by Vanna Can, doing business as The Crown, for premises at 74 Middlesex Street during the calendar week commencing Sunday and ending on Saturday.
Mr. Khan, approach the lectern, state your name for the record, and once again, please.
I'm sorry.
State your name for the record one more time, please.
Vanat Khan is my name.
Thank you. Mr. Khan, do you understand what this what this is all about?
Yes, sir.
You do? Okay. Captain Webb, before I open up the public hearing, anything to be said?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a few comments on the police department's response to activity at the Crown nightclub. Since the Crown nightclub opened in 2013, a significant source of police resources and attention have been paid to that location. Also, the activities at the Crown nightclub have negatively impacted the quality of life in neighborhood residences. Since 2013, on the date that the Crown opened, calls for service have increased 129% in a two-block area surrounding the Crown nightclub, and priority one or emergency calls have increased 100% in that neighborhood. For the calendar year 2015, officers have been posted outside of the Crown at closing time 107 different occasions on 92 dates. And that is a correction on the figures that were provided to the commission in this initial complaint. Initially, it said 107 different dates, but I have since looked at that. It's 92 different dates, 107 different officers on 92 different dates.
Thank you.
And also during 2015, 10 disturbances have taken place at the Crown nightclub. 10 arrests have been made, and in 4 of those disturbances, officers had to call for additional assistance. As a result of the police resources that had to be sent to the Crown, other areas of the city are oftentimes left without patrol officers in them. And as you've also heard, there have been occasions, at least one occasion we have talked about earlier tonight, where additional assistance had to be brought into the city from the state police and also the UMass Lowell police. And as a result of all this activity and the drain on police resources, the police department is requesting that the hours be, of the closing hours be rolled back to 11 p.m.
Thank you. Attorney Rossetti, you have anything to offer from the legal counsel?
I would just, thank you, Mr. Chairman, I would just stress that this is separate from the disciplinary hearing that concluded, that the board's consideration needs to be as to a public need and not as a punishment or as a sanction against the establishment. The public need can embrace many different considerations. As Captain Webb alluded to, the commission can certainly look at the extent to which a disproportionate amount of police resources go into focusing on this one establishment. The commission can also look at the opportunity cost that arises from a disproportionate share of resources going into this one establishment. The commission can also consider public input, as this is a public hearing. Perhaps there are citizens here to speak for and against an hours reduction. Certainly the board is authorized to consider violations, code violations that recently have been found at this establishment, albeit violations that, per the building commissioner, have been cured. But the fact that there has been a lapse could be cause for concern on the commission's part going forward. There's a whole host of considerations that this commission can look at, but the commission must keep in mind that this is not punishment. This is, you are looking at the greater public good here in terms of whether or not to reduce the hours.
Understood. Okay, Mr. Khan, you will have an opportunity to speak, but at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. At this time, we're going to open up the public hearing for people speaking in favor of reducing the hours. In favor of reducing the hours? In favor of reducing the hours. Hearing no one, that portion of the public hearing is closed. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in opposition of reducing the hours? Just approach your lectern, state your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Champa Peng. The owner of Crown Nightclub has clearly indicated that his clients, customers, don't come in until after 11 o'clock. So if you reduce the hours for him, then there would probably be no profit or income for his nightclub. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody like to speak in opposition? Sir? Yep. Just state your name for the record, sir.
My name is Calvin Thomas. I would like to speak in opposition only because I think it would really be a financial burden to impose such a penalty against Mr. Khan. I heard, Commissioner Hogan say, or state, please correct me if I'm wrong, that what difference would a officer in the club, what difference would it make if he was to have one? I think common sense would tell you that an officer in the club is a deterrent. In many cases, I've watched these meetings several times, and I witnessed commissioners request that officers be on duty during certain events. I think what Mr. Khan is doing is being proactive. So to deny him an officer or a detail only causes more of a problem when he's trying to avoid a problem.
I would agree with you. However, my statement wasn't necessarily that.
That's why I asked you to correct me if I was wrong.
No, not having a detail officer wouldn't have made a difference. It was that it wouldn't have made a difference in clearing out the people at 1:30 when he's supposed to and turning the lights on. At 1:37, the officers entered the establishment. The music was blaring and the fight was in full force. So I'm confused at how having a detail officer would have made any difference in, say, turning the lights on in the middle of a brawl.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. I didn't understand your question, I guess. I didn't know there was a question of having the music off and having the lights on.
Correct.
I didn't understand that. I thought it was, and I just infer from what you were saying that it would be more of a question of if an officer was there, the fight itself wouldn't have taken place. So I'm not talking about the lights, not
Yep.
talking about the music.
No, I don't disagree with
So
that
my
at all.
point is,
Right.
if you had an officer there, it would have served as a deterrent.
Nope,
I
I
spoke
don't
with
disagree.
Mr. Khan in the past in regards to having a detail there. I live right next door. I've called the police myself on Mr. Khan when things got out of control outside. But I also know from living in there, and I guess that's the advantage I have over most of the folks here, unless you live right downtown next to Crown, that there's people that come from several clubs. People park in that garage. You have people come from all over. So to attribute everything that's taken place to the Crown, or say that he has a certain clientele, don't know exactly what that means, but to say he has a certain clientele that comes into his establishment, I guess is causing all these problems, I think it's a bit disingenuous to sit there and make a statement like that, but that's me. He doesn't have counsel here, so I'm just going by plain old common sense. If he had a counselor here, I'm sure they would have brought up several questions, just like as far as the violations are concerned that you spoke of. I went into the club and he showed me a panel that was open. That was a violation. A cup that was on the second floor, which I guess folks assume that because a cup was there, he's having meetings upstairs and the club is going on after hours. That was all inferred from a cup.
I would have
But
to
like,
say,
again-
I don't think, we're not really
Again,
familiar with those particular
but see, the
issues.
public needs to know this, because when he makes a statement like there's been violations in the past by the building commissioner or inspectors or whatever, folks need to know exactly what that is. If he had counsel, if someone was here, that would be explained. That can't be explained because he doesn't have counsel.
That may be the case, but there are certainly several things that Mr. Khan could have addressed, like informing this committee that the police were at his establishment, especially given that he has been before this board for the same infraction.
See, I guess that's where my confusion comes in as well, as far as having to notify, he felt, and you found him guilty of not notifying the police when this stuff took place.
Not the police,
I'm sorry.
the
well,
license commission.
Like I said, first time doing this, I could be
In
wrong.
both.
Section, I think it was B, right? Which read, failure to notify the Lowell Police Department when any violation of law, disorder, or disturbance is taking place in a licensed premises,
Sorry, I apologize.
right?
The cops,
I
yeah,
just
they
want to
didn't
make
call
sure
the
I'm clear,
cops.
because
Yep.
I could be getting this wrong. There was officers, and if I'm not mistaken, the state police was involved, you Lowell police were involved, and the Lowell Police, of course, Department was involved. So I don't see where the notice is coming into place. I can understand Part C, where you have to notify the commission, because I don't think
Mr.
it's
Chairman,
fair to...
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just offer one thought, reference to what the gentleman is speaking of, that the licensee is a restaurant, and the minimum hours of a restaurant licensee with the alcohol beverage is 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The License Commission, the licensing authority, has the discretion to control the hours before 11 a.m., starting at 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and also has the discretion to control the hours after 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., which is the maximum time a licensee can offer alcohol beverages. The License Commission is, in its purview, has the right to notify a licensee to decrease the hours either before 11 a.m., or after 11 p.m., provided that the licensing authority notifies the licensee at least 14 days of a public need to decrease the hours. So first and foremost, Mr. Chairman, to members of the commission, with due respect, Mr. Can is a licensee for the sale of all alcoholic beverages as a restaurant, not a nightclub. Thank you.
Thank you. Continue, sir.
All right, sorry. All right, so let's get, I know everyone wants to get out of here, so I'm not going to hold you up.
Take your time.
All right, much
Take your
longer. But like I said, I was there when this establishment was a gym, and there was a lot of young troubled youths coming in, and Mr. Khan helped a lot of these young people. A lot of these folks are automatically just labeled by people because of their own ignorance. It takes place all the time. I'm sure people, yeah, you know that. But he's trying to do nothing but good. When he turned it into a nightclub, in the beginning music was loud, a few fights out front. I talked to him, music was lowered, and I didn't see as many fights. I guess he had a detail for some time, and for some reason that stopped. From what I was told, he tried to get a detail. No one wanted to work there. One of the things I guess was said was, it's dangerous, and no one really wants to risk their lives, which I found to be absolutely ridiculous because of the fact that you're police officers. It's inherent to your job. These things do happen. So to sit there and say to anyone, especially coming from a person with a gun, pepper spray, and everything else, that I really don't want to be at a club because I'm in fear of my own life, or I feel that there's a danger to myself. That's what your job is to protect the community. Your job is to make places safe. He's asking you for that. So I don't know why it's not, and again, I don't know what's taking place here. I don't know if he made it, like a official request for a detail, but I know he just stated that he has called on several different occasions. I know that when a detail has been there hasn't been as many incidents that have taken place. So going forward, whatever the penalties are going to be against Mr. Khan, I would hope that the city of Lowell would help him with keeping this club open and providing a safe place for people to go, young people. And keep in mind, this is a college town, so you don't have all just bad elements going to these clubs. There's a lot of college kids that are out here now, thanks to you, Lowell. I'm a graduate from you, Lowell. I have several friends that used to come out here and have fun and raise a little heck now and again. But I would just hope that from this, Mr. Khan learns. Of course, he's being penalized because you want to make sure he gets that you're serious about this. And I think he's getting the message loud and clear tonight. But going forward, I would hope that you would support him, and the Lowell Police Department would support him in keeping, the area safe. I live there, so I want it to be a safe place. I don't want the shootings. I've called the police on several different occasions when there's been shootings, and it's not necessarily from Mr. Khan's club. It's been from all over. I have someone shoot in my building, right inside my building. I live right next door. So I would just like to see him treated fairly. And I hope that, like I said, going forward, he has the support, of the Lowell Commissions and from the Lowell Police Department.
Appreciate your input.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else speak in opposition? Sir? Approach your lectern, state your name.
My name is Pedro Oswaga. I'm also certified crowd management. As you can see in the video, I was telling everyone to exit out the door. I have good communication with Demers, right? When he's working, I usually come outside, let him know what's going on. At 1:30, light is on. We're at 1:45, we try to exit everybody before 2 o'clock. The fight started at 1:25, right before 1:30. So the music was still on because the music don't stop till 1:30. As I see that when we have a detail, I've been working it for 2 years, there was never an issue. Demers usually comes in, a couple officers come in, we don't see that anymore. Demers is mostly one of the times, mostly all the time it's outside. I usually go outside, I greet him, he comes, and I tell him what's going on in the club, how many people we have in the club. Like I said, I mean, if we had details there, it'll be a plus.
Okay, thank you for your input. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Sure, you may approach. Thank you. Just so the commissioners know, this is a letter from Garnick's Television and Music, to whom it may concern. The Crown, our neighbor, runs a first-class operation, and we are very lucky to have them as our neighbor. They are wonderful people, and we credit to the neighborhood, Bob Garnick. All right. Anything else further, Mr. Khan? I'm sorry, I did not close the public hearing. Anybody else to speak in opposition? In opposition? Sir, state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Chet Kim. As we had, I just want to interject a couple of things. Just a few minutes ago, as you had mentioned, you know, we all, as you can see on the club there, I mean, it's just showing a video a few minutes ago. I mean, every single day, you know, when we're young, we went out there to the club, we do all this other productive stuff, and sometimes things happen. And it's happened as all the learning and a lesson that we have to go through. And I'm a community helper. I do free citizenship, disability, and mass health insurance for all the Cambodian and all the rest of the minority in the city of Lowell. But Mr. Vanat is a good man. And I hope each and every one of you guys to reconsider whatever need to be done. Is the fact is that you don't see too many clubs out there that are willing to give the time and free facility to the community when they need to do some party or anything like that. And it is a type of thing that we're supposed to help our younger generation as well. I mean, to be quite honest with you, I mean, what club is it? You tell me. We'll point out and give free and help the community beside that. And I'm hoping each and every one take time and learn about this lesson as well. And there's a simple fact is that the fact that we all get into trouble. I understand. We all do. No one in here is not. I mean, we all not perfect. But the man is trying to do some productive stuff for society. And I'm asking in each and every one of you to think about it, and I'm hoping to give him a good, you know, positive image for the future. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Anybody else to speak in opposition? Ma'am, just state your name for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Anne Marie Murray, and I was a property owner here in Lowell, as well as I run a small business from here. And I think I'm really confused because it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of speaking out, trying to help Mr. Khan figure out what needs to be done. Like someone had just said, he was given a liquor license as a restaurant, and yet he's only operating it from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. If he's not getting the clientele in there earlier in the night, and that's the concern from the board and from other people, that he needs to really run it as a restaurant and then have it go into a nightclub type situation, there should be some sort of help with trying to get that going, whether it's community people helping him or it's the police department or the city, you know, someone advocating to him that, well, why don't you try this? This is what some other businesses have attempted to try to do to make their business more successful and less of an issue with the city. You know, instead of opening the doors at 11, see if you can open them at 9 and offer people a happy hour with appetizers for less money than what they normally would cost, and get people in there earlier, so that way you know these people aren't drinking other places, then coming in. They're coming into your establishment, they're eating, and then they're doing their dancing and everything. I mean, I grant you, didn't go to many clubs over the last 20 years while raising my son, but before that I did, and there were fights everywhere. That's going to happen, like everyone has said here. But there needs to, I think my big issue with the whole city of Lowell is just that there doesn't seem to be a continuity between each sections of Lowell. Everyone seems like they're trying to segregate everyone from everyone else. And I mean, I've never heard much about the club until recently. And I've lived here for 13 years, so I guess I'm confused on where there's a continuity with anything trying to help business owners or trying to get the business owners to help the public. Does that make sense?
I understand. I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Comments from the board? Commissioner Krieger.
I fully appreciate the Chief of Police's concern about this issue. I'm not sure that rolling the hours back to 11 o'clock, which I think would just squeeze this business out of business, is the right number. But I do think rolling the hours back to some degree is warranted by the situation. And I think the whole area is one that we as a committee should learn more about, perhaps with a briefing from the Police Intelligence Agency and from DPW. So that's about where I'm sitting right now.
Commissioner McCarthy.
I agree with Commissioner Krieger. There's some great comments made tonight, but the amount of resources that we have to send up there with the police department, there were 92 details, I think that was, the captain, is that what you said, 92 details sent up there?
107 details on 92 different dates.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So 107, that's just, the city can't do that, can't handle that. We need to clean up what's going on up there. There's something going on up there. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying that we can't have the police department showing up at your establishment or any other establishment 107 times.
Go right up to the microphone, Mr. Khan.
See, I mean, you know, instead of send all that detail, if we could just request one, because we pay for it. Just one, so the city don't have to spend all that detail to stand outside. Because, I mean, we don't request detail for free. And this this place alone, so the profit actually support the orphanage center and also train the juvenile delinquency that I myself train them for free. And so, you know, that's what I'm asking. Why spend all that money on a lot of detail? Do they just give me one? I pay for it. That's all I'm asking, sir.
Well, maybe you need to set up a meeting with the superintendent of police and sit down with him and...
I would love to. I'm reaching out to the city because the city been trying to promote more Cambodian business owners to come down to Lowell. And I am actually reaching out since day one. And I'm sorry because I make a mistake. I thought, you know, the city Lowell police is the agent of the license commission. And I got that, sir. And I take that responsibility. But I would love to sit down with the police because this gentleman here was nice. You know, he was there outside. He helped clear the streets. But if I would have someone there, I mean, the club actually been open for 3 years. The past 2.5 years, we were so fine. Okay, just recently that we done. So why spend all those money, use all resources to put detail outside if I could just request one? or two out from my pocket. That's all I want, sir. This is part of my saving. I just want to contribute something good to the city of Lowell. I really do. That's why I want to restore that building so badly. But I'm just the first generation here. Work 2 full-time jobs just to keep that place so I can pursue my habit, training, kid at risk, help out. I never put my hand to asking for grant, anything. Everything come out from my pockets. 2010 to 2011, I trained kickboxing for free. Those parents that could afford to pay their kid lost their job. I couldn't kick them out. So that's why that place, the Crown, happened, because we want to generate that revenue just to help out those. Because when the kid in the system, they're in for life. At least I give them 4 or 5 hours off the streets. I want to prove them wrong that if you want to fight, I train you to fight. You're good, I will give you a contract. If you're not good, I prove you wrong, that you're not going to survive on the street. Let's go back to school. If you don't like school, let's go to a trade school. Become a DJ or become something. That's why my place, from time to time, you will see kid at risk dancing competitions. You're going to see a lot of nonprofit organizations that I never charge them, because I just want to be a part of the city. So I'm actually reaching out to you. If you would have cut down my time, my hours, there's no business. Please let me be a part of the city and let me help those unfortunate, especially juvenile delinquency, 17, 14, 15. They like to fight on the street. And I put my own resource. Never for one reach out to the city looking for grant, never. And all of these people, they know that.
Anything else, Mr. Commissioner McCarthy?
I'm all set.
Commissioner Hogan?
No, absolutely.
I'm having a difficult time coming up to make a final decision, to be quite frank. I work downtown, Mr. Khan, and I have talked to quite a few people, and people here tonight have spoken eloquently. Mr. Thomas, Mrs. Murray actually should be your business manager, because she has some good ideas. Maybe reinvent yourself here. I hear nothing but good things about you and your wife, straight up. Very nice people, doing things for the community, but we have a serious problem here. And the reason why we're here is for the purpose of public need. And I understand that, you know, we all need to work together. But something's happened at the Crown in the last year that didn't happen in the first year and a half when you were open. Something's gone awry, that we have to send 10 units and leave half the city with no coverage. That's a serious issue. Personally, I think you're doing the best you possibly can. I don't think you know the laws as it pertains to alcohol in the state of Massachusetts fully, and I think you stated that tonight, that you're asking for help. But you need, as a business owner, that's your responsibility to know the rules and regulations of the Lowell License Commission and the Alcoholics Beverage Commission in the state of Massachusetts. That's your responsibility. So prior to opening up a business, you have to know all these things, okay? Now, you know, I think Mr. Thomas spoke, and he spoke very well, was, you know, it would be a deterrent for any fights escalating if you had police presence there. But it has got to the point where police officers, and I understand Mr. Thomas, what he was saying, that, you know, that's their job to preserve and protect. I understand that. But, I mean, when you look at a video like that, that's a little bit more than preserve and protect to me. I think you need to reinvent the Crown. I really do. Because you care about the city. I think Mrs. Murray had a great idea. Open up your doors at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I mean, you're a restaurant. Have appetizers, have meals. Be a restaurant. And at the night, and later in the night, then have dancing and that type of thing. But you're known as a 2-hour nightclub. That's who you are. People come into your business at 11:30 at night, start drinking, hit it hard until 1:30, and if something happens, it happens. I get it. But when somebody says, well, it happens, well, it's not happening in other bars in the city that have the 21 to 28-year-old clientele. We have bars downtown that have that clientele. That's not happening there. So why is it not, but happening at your place?
So I beg to differ. Smokehouse have issues. Brian's Lager used to have serious issues.
What's happened to them?
I've been there I've been by there several times, so this isn't
Yeah.
something that's exclusive.
And they've been, and those bars have been dealt with accordingly, Mr. Thomas.
Several infractions. I don't recall him having several infractions.
All right. I don't mean any disrespect, but the public hearing's closed, so we're making our decision here. I think that you need to sit down with your wife and look at what the Crown is going to be, because I can't see this changing. I really don't. Sure you may, sure. This is your establishment.
We set up a new rule that a strictly dress code. We will not tolerate anyone. Again, I put no security camera. We just want to make sure recognize the face, and we decline them. And yeah, this is part of our saving. We put everything into it just so that we can be a part of the city. And we will change that. If you were to give us the opportunity to change that.
How do you plan on changing it?
We're gonna target new crowd. We're gonna try to limit the age. Instead of 21 for men, we're gonna looking for 25 and up. And for the female, we can still with 21 years old. And no one gonna have a T-shirt or dress code, or a T-shirt or boot or wear hat or look like gangbang. We have the right to deny those, and that's when we want to target. And we haven't had the opportunity to do that when we got shut down for a whole month. Okay, so in a way that somehow we didn't get any help, but yet we get punished for a whole month. And now moving forward, that's one thing that we want to look at it. Just like you said, there was 10 officers was there. But all I'm asking is just one to have it there.
So you're saying that you're not going to allow 21 to 24-year-olds in your club? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm trying to, we're gonna sit down again. We're gonna look at, okay, if 21 and up is not working, can we eliminate the age on the men, or the way they look, or the way they dress up? So we're willing to change that, sir. We just want to make, because this is our life saving.
And I appreciate that. I really do. This board is not here to put you out of business. We don't want to do that.
Right.
But we're here at a public hearing concerning public need. This is very serious.
Again, sir.
I'm all for making this work. I really am.
Thank you.
All right? And I agree with Commissioner Krieger. I'm not in favor of the 11 o'clock. I'm not. But I think there needs to be some communication between you, maybe the Department of Planning and Development, I don't know, in the Lowell Police Department, okay?
Yes, I wish.
I think you need to reassess what this is going to be. Because, I'll reiterate it, I don't see this nightclub changing, restaurant, nightclub changing. I don't.
Yeah.
And I need to feel a lot better in order to change the way I'm thinking right now. I'm not getting it. I'm just not getting it, because I'm having a tough time with a place that has people coming in at 11:30. And I know there's people coming into your establishment at 11:30 who have been to other places and have already been drinking. That's a concern. These fights are because people are drunk, plain and simple. And I don't think you can say I'm wrong there.
No, I didn't say you're wrong, but what I'm trying to propose, I will put more security. We license as a sport bar, not the restaurant. Okay, we can add appetizers.
Well, that's your license.
At the sport bar, sir, when we.
Sports bar, restaurant, not
Right.
nightclub.
We don't have kitchens, but we can bring the appetizer just to add on to the menu. And, but again, if I can reach out to the police, I will love to sit down with them. All I'm asking is a chance to help me out. We're gonna change, we're gonna add more security to the premises.
I think I want you to go back home. I want you to think about this, okay? Because this is what I'm going to propose. This may be unorthodox a bit, but like I said, I want to see you make it. I really do.
Yes, sir.
But I want you to reassess what the crown is going to be.
Yeah.
All right? And Attorney Brizzetti, help me out. Could this board have a meeting with Mr. Khan on how he wants to reinvent the crown at a date not at one of our scheduled meetings? I know that sounds a bit odd.
If the members of this commission convene for the purpose of carrying on business of the commission, then that meeting would have to be posted in order to comply with the open meeting law.
Okay, I'm good with that. Commissioner McCarthy? I'd like you to come back to a meeting in a month,
Sure.
okay? And I want you to I want a comprehensive assessment of what you plan on doing at the Crown, all right? 1 month.
Sure.
But in the interim, we are going to roll your hours back a little bit here, because I don't know what's going to happen there in a month, for a month. All right? Now, I understand it may be difficult for a month financially, but I think if you come forward with a plan that this board agrees with, I'd be more than happy to roll it forward again to 2 o'clock. But right now, and I just don't feel that the city is in a safe place right now with your club. I really don't. We're not rolling back your hours permanently, but I would make a motion to roll back the hours to 12:30 at this time, with a last call at 12. Second by Commissioner Krieger. Anybody, any other further discussion from the commissioners?
I would propose possibly a 1 o'clock closing. Last call, 12:30, that's an hour less.
All right, are you asking to amend the motion?
Yes.
Okay, I have a amended motion by Commissioner Hogan for 1 o'clock, last call at
12:30.
12:30. Do I have a second? Hearing no second. First motion, once again, is 12:30 with the 12 o'clock last call. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Krieger. Roll call.
Chairman Dakota?
Yes?
Commissioner Krieger? Yes. Commissioner Hogan?
No.
Commissioner McCarthy? Yes. 3 yes, 1 no.
Secretary Wynn, can you set up a meeting that would need to be posted?
Well, can't we
Meet prior?
schedule it for a regular meeting that you have scheduled already?
Put it at the end of a.
In other words,
Put it at the end of the meeting?
you have meetings, you have February 25th coming up, you have March 10th, March 31st.
Commissioner Krieger?
I like the idea of having a posted meeting sort of offline from our regular meetings, so that the focus is on the Crown and the city and what we're doing and what would be saved and salvaged. So,
Well, with all due respect to Mr. Khan and a presentation that he could possibly make, I would just suggest to the board that the public need issue is before you right now. And I would suggest to the commission that weighing that interest, that the people that generally would watch a License Commission meeting, if they're going to watch it at all, are in the evenings at a regular meeting. And this is the focus of the board's action tonight, was to determine a public need to decrease the hours or leave them as is, 2 a.m. Mr. Khan has had a license for 3 years. He came in before the License Commission, before it was a 5-member board, it was a 3-member commission at the time, and he was granted an all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license at that time. His presentation with legal counsel present was to have a sports bar, as he indicated, with food service. I've not heard anything said about food being offered by Mr. Khan to his patrons at any point in time in recent matters before the licensing board on disciplinary action. But again, I would just point out to the board, this is a public need issue which the public should have full access to. And I would just suggest to the commission, if you want to do it on the evening, on another date other than our schedule as we have it, I would have to make arrangements with the mayor's office to determine whether the council chamber would be available.
Or mayor's reception room.
Well, no, his point is there's no TV in the
Oh, that's true. Attorney Rossetti?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I
Well,
just wanted,
Before I move off, I've heard it stated before that LTC and the city need to work together to put some sort of a TV presence in the mayor's reception room, even if it's a mobile temporary kind of thing. So it might be worth asking LTC if they've moved forward. And
That's for the city council, Mr. Commissioner.
that's what?
That's the city council's purview.
Yeah, they vote on the LTC.
Yeah, I'm just saying, find out what LTC is up to.
Attorney Rossetti?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to take a moment to basically second what Executive Secretary Wynn said about the fact that this is a public need hearing, and that to the extent the commission wishes to have a follow-up in a month, certainly where this is a public need hearing, I think the most benefit and the most efficiency derives from having this as an agenda item either at or a regularly scheduled meeting, which this particular agenda item could be the last one and attention focused on that, or the first one. Or in the alternative, something in the evening that can promote public participation, because I think the commission certainly has recognized the benefit to the members of the public who are able to come in tonight and offer their insight. To the extent that you can make this follow-up track a regularly scheduled meeting, I think so much the better, because again, this is a hearing about public need.
Thank you, Attorney Rossetti. Commissioner's good with that? Make it, Commissioner McCarthy? March 10th. Let's place it at the end of the agenda, Ryan, on March 10th. Mr. Khan, do you understand what we've done here, right? I understand it's a month of financial hardship for you. I understand that. But I think you can understand the intent of this board is to make sure you succeed, and we want to work with you. And that was what I think some of the speakers have stated here tonight, is that we want to work together and try to make the Crown succeed. I think you'd have a difficult time telling this board that, you know, you're going to change it from 21 to 24 and going to have a, I think we need a comprehensive plan of what you want this establishment to be. And I know, Mr. Nguyen, I wasn't here 3 years ago when this license was given to you, but there doesn't seem any semblance to a sports bar or a restaurant at your place right now.
We have the appetizer, we have sandwiches, we offer, it's just that no one buying it. And we have television that posts over there. Again, you know, it's gonna hurt us a lot because we've been closing for a month. Something that, you know, we got approved, then we got somehow later find the violation on what we've been approved on the.
But from that, all those violations are now fixed. So, I mean, you've done your job there and been responsible about that.
Right.
Very good.
It is all fixed, but to me, it's still not fair because at least give me the abatement notice that you have a week or you have a day or 2 days to clean it up. But 3 weeks before the building inspector came in, we was passing.
Right.
So.
Well, it should be
but-
it should be noted, Mr. Khan, that you were not singled out. The building department went through, I believe, 15 liquor establishments
I
that
didn't
week.
mean that you single me out. I'm
Okay.
just saying that back in December, why not a violation then, so we can fix why now? And it's been there for 3 years, they never changed. So we lost that for a whole month. So now we have another month to go through, so we have 2 months actually losing. It's gonna hurt the place really badly. And, you know, it's somehow, I mean, you know, help me out a little bit here.
I think that's what the intent of this board and coming back in a month, we're hoping to do. At this point, I don't think I have anything further to add. Commissioner Krieger?
Yeah, I want to second what the chairman says. I think we're trying to work with you. The request was to roll your hours back to 11 o'clock, which would have been devastating. I mean, I'm interested in establishments making money, patrons enjoying themselves, the neighbors not being bothered. Apparently, you have neighbors who like your business, and that an establishment not be a burden to the city in terms of not paying their taxes, requiring extra police, that kind of thing. And I think that the commission has balanced that today and has given you a window, because the original request that we got was, in my humble opinion, was to make you go out of business. Maybe not the intent, but the reality. And I think that we're working to make it the other way. And I think you can see that there is support from the board for you to succeed. But we need some help from you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything further? Commissioner McCarthy, Commissioner Hogan?
No, sir.
Commissioner Rossetti, Attorney Rossetti, anything else to add?
Mr.
No,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
By 1 second, I just wanted, this rollback of hours, when shall it commence?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night? Okay, thank you.
Captain Webb, anything further?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. I'd reach out, and within the next month, Captain Webb, would you be amenable to meeting with Mr. Khan on some issues that he may have?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Khan. Appreciate your presence here tonight.
I'd like to say, as people wander out who've testified at the public hearing, thank you very much for coming and participating.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kim.
But I'm hoping you reconsider instead of 1 month. I don't understand why it takes so long. We can just take about 2 weeks or something. We can prepare ourselves, whatever necessary. But I just kind of a little bit concerned we have to prolong this, like almost 2 months already.
I understand.
But you understand, but at the same time, what about the people? What about us? Yeah, I mean, I understand you guys can make the decision. What about us? I'm a little bit
Kim,
concerned
I
about that, sir.
think that's the decision the board has been made.
Thank you, sir.
We have one last item on the agenda. If you wish, you want to wait for Commissioner McCarthy to return?
Please.
It's just the communications.
Oh, it's just communications? Good, continue.
Just proceed.
Please.
So just that for the board, the Office of the State and Fire Marshal Office had agents inspect several of our licensed establishments that were conducted January 21st, 2016. And they've cited the back page at 15 Kearney Square, the Portuguese American Center at 59 Charles Street, and Portuguese American Civic League at 512 Center Street for code violations. They've been properly notified by the State Fire Marshal's Office of the violations, and there will be follow-up, I'm sure, on that.
All right. Also, let the record show that Commissioner McGovern has rejoined the session, and then make a motion to place the correspondence on file.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner Hogan. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Commissioner Hogan. Commissioner Hogan.
What's that?
I wanted to say that, as a member of the commission, I appreciate the fact that you voted no.
She always speaks up.
Thanks.
She always speaks up.
I think
Kristen's never been.
we need
Wallflower.
we need that kind of.
I think it's gonna
Thanks, Kenny.
You think it's what?
I think it's gonna croak.
It'll definitely, how much you stepped on that? I think it's right. You all right, Terry?
Yep.
Sorry you could